Combating the ideologies that countries and some medical organizations are promoting can be difficult, but the Institute for Women's Health is working hand in hand with several countries to create a framework of policies to promote true women's health. I sat down with their president, Valerie, who explained the challenges they face, but also shared her excitement about the headway they're making internationally.
We want to talk about the great work that you've done at the Institute for Women's Health. And you started in this work, and it stemmed out of a very important role that you took on under the Trump administration, and that was the role of the special rep for global women's health. Was that a new role? Was it created then, or had it existed for a long time?
I can't tell you what an honor it was to be the first special representative for global women's health. It was an all-of-government position, very similar to an ambassador at large. So I had the whole world, but only one focus, and that was promoting women's health. And, by the way, to ensure that health was not equated with abortion, because it shouldn't be, and it's not.
And when you first started that work, there was one country in particular that everyone started hearing rumblings about in its desire to be the first ever most pro-life country on the planet. Guatemala.
Well, actually, Guatemala wasn't on the scene until after I left that position and we started the Institute for Women's Health. Unfortunately, the United States left the Geneva Consensus Declaration, that coalition, on day 8 of the current administration's time in the White House. But there was a country that didn't matter to them if the United States was in or out. There was a president that said, "It is my faith that makes me defend life from conception." And Guatemala was the first country after the United States left that coalition to join. And that tells you something about the people there and the president who was leading that country.
Now, you just mentioned the Geneva Consensus Declaration. Give us an overview of what that is and why it's so impactful.
When I was special representative for global women's health, I saw that women's health, that topic, had experienced a devolution, really, where women's health was being equated with abortion, and it's just not true.
And it's limiting.
It's very limiting, and it's a narrative that leaves women who are dying every day behind with no assistance for anything else. So our goal really was to put the focus where it should be, and that is look at those authentically vulnerable women and girls in countries around the world to which the United States provides foreign assistance, other countries provide foreign assistance. And I saw that even though at that time the U.S. administration was very pro-life, many of our traditional allies were not. And so I met with them and proposed that we all work together. We could actually solve some of these unsolved conditions for women around the world with our foreign assistance. But the one limiting factor that had to be removed was the ideology attached to women's health, and I proposed that to the other countries. Not another country would agree to leave abortion out of that equation in order to promote women's health. What did that tell me? It told me that the priority was not really helping the women who needed help. It was promoting ideology above women's health, and actually that women were being used as a vehicle for ideology. So it was based on that I started having conversations with countries that were pro-life, pro-family, that wanted to make genuine improvements to the health of their women and girls, but they were being held back by these conditions that were standing in the way. So based on that, we created together with Brazil, Egypt, Hungary, Indonesia, and Uganda, the Geneva Consensus Declaration. There were 4 pillars that were really the stalwart piece of this declaration. It created a coalition of nations that said, regardless of where we are, we commit to improve health and thriving for women and girls. Number 2, the family is foundational to society and deserves to be protected by the government. Number 3, there is no international right to abortion. It's not a human right. It's up to the countries to decide what they're going to do about this. And number 4, the sovereign right of countries to defend life, family, and women's health with their own laws and not have external meddling forcing them or pressuring them to change.
Now, you have a new opportunity to apply these 4 pillars in Africa. What can you tell us about the work you're doing there?
How exciting. And how honored we are to work with the First Lady of Uganda to launch a new initiative that's part of a model that we created actually with the government of Guatemala. But in Uganda, we launched the Women's Optimal Health Framework, which is the first life-affirming, family-strengthening framework that ministries of health can use in these countries to affirm every life from conception all the way to death, dividing a woman's life into those life stages. It's looking holistically at helping a woman receive optimal health. And that's not just physical health. It's emotional health. It's intellectual health. Yes, physical health. It's spiritual health. There's not another framework that takes these elements and empowers a government and literally empowers a woman and a girl at that community level to have opportunities that she has not had in the past.
Now, Africa was recently the source of great controversy in relationship with the United Nations, where the UN and many other international organizations were blasted for bringing, by a local religious leader, for bringing in abortion and all of the ideological things that you mentioned into their country through aid. Is that really one of the main reasons that the work that you did at the United Nations through this ambassadorship, as you described it, was critical?
So critical. The stories I heard initially I didn't believe were true, where governments, foundations, international organizations were pressuring, threatening to withdraw foreign assistance if the ideology didn't change. And what that really meant was adopting foreign ideologies that were counter to their religious values, their cultural values, sometimes even their constitutions. And it was completely inappropriate, unethical, and not in the best interest of either the country or its people.
Well, Valerie, there are some controversial new figures in the political landscape, like Javier Milei in Argentina, who, for many reasons, is seen as someone who might be a great partner to the pro-life movement, even though he has other policies that might be controversial. Do you see an opportunity there to partner with him?
Well, we are very excited about the election of President Milei, and he's been very outspoken, whether it be at Davos or in a local school in his support for life. As you know, it's been many years since Argentina has had a leader that even remotely approximates the leadership of President Milei. Of course, his top priority right now is to try to bring some sense to their economy, but that doesn't mean that he is leaving behind that support for life. We very much look forward to and hope to be able to partner with he and his administration. We also hope that they're the newest Latin American member of the Geneva Consensus Declaration. Latin America, South America, really in particular, needs a new leader, and we think that Argentina could and should fill that gap.
So then what are the major roadblocks to having more countries adopt this kind of a framework or decide to partner with you?
The roadblocks really are that these countries are under tremendous pressure. There's not a country I've talked to that hasn't talked about and told me personal experiences of how they are either being publicly named and shamed for the values they create, or that there are NGOs that have been stood up as a result of funds and influence from outside sources, that or that members of Congress or the congressional body has been handed legislation and said, if you want a loan or if you want a grant, this needs to be introduced in your Congress or sometimes even passed. Those sorts of things are chilling and not only either remove or at least weaken the sovereignty of countries. And so sometimes as that pressure increases, it actually steals their resolve and they grow a spine that they didn't know they had. And what we want to be as the Institute for Women's Health is that encourager that not only encourages them to stand, but gives them the tools and the resources so they can stand.
Thank you so much, Valerie.
Thanks so much for having me.
To learn more about the Institute for Women's Health, visit their website at www.theiwh.org.